Hello, can you introduce yourself?
Okay, so my name is Omari Emmanuel, a clinical psychologist by profession. I work at a business school also as a TA and a research assistant. I think that should be enough. Yeah.
Okay, so Omari, before becoming a psychologist, what was one belief or assumption you held about people or life that your work has completely changed?
Okay, so I'll take this from the behavior perspective. So before becoming a clinical psychologist, I always thought human behavior is shaped by our free will. So we make decisions and then we undertake that specific behavior. So let's say drinking, smoking, all of these behaviors, I thought, are behaviors that you can just decide to get involved in and you are doing them. But becoming a clinical psychologist has really shaped how I see some of these behaviors, right? I mean, now I know that some of these behaviors don't come from just the decision part where the individual decides to just want to smoke or want to drink, but they go beyond decision, right? You have genetics playing a factor in there, you have the individual's biological background playing a factor in there and all that. So this was the belief or assumption I held about life or behavior before becoming a psychologist. But now it has really changed. I know people don't just decide to want to abuse drugs or decide to want to smoke or drink. It goes far beyond free will and just deciding that, today I feel like going for an alcohol and all that. When you're a psychologist and some of these urges come, you tend to understand it better that it's not just that you are deciding to want to drink, but it is an urge that is coming from somewhere biologically, right? So yeah, this is one of those things that my profession has significantly changed how I see them.
Okay, so next one. From a psychologist's perspective, based on your experience working with patients, what are Ghanaians most worried about?
I think I'll keep this straightforward from my position as a clinical psychologist. Ghanaians are too worried about the opinions people hold about them or the people's opinion about their behavior, about their look, about their speech. Ghanaians are so fixated on it. And it plays out even in therapy rooms, and it also plays out in when we are preaching help seeking. You see somebody in trouble, visible trouble, you ask them to seek help, and what they tell you is that the moment somebody sees me entering a mental facility or a mental hospital, they are definitely going to think I'm crazy. So because of that particular opinion the person has as a Ghanaian, they are not even interested in seeking help and all that. So Ghanaians are too fixated, too worried about what people think about them. We are so fixated on that as Ghanaians.
As Ghanaians, what's something we commonly say or do in our culture that seems harmless but can actually be psychologically damaging?
Great. So again, from a clinical psychologist perspective, I think Ghanaians we tend to cover ourselves with standards. So at this particular age, you need to be doing this. At this particular point in your life, you should have this. We tend to cover ourselves with standard, and it plays out in everything we do. You see a parent's child going to school, and the parent is the one picking the programs they are supposed to go and do for them because of a particular standard that society has put there, that if you are doing this, it means you are good. If you are doing that, it means you are bad. We tend to shroud ourselves too much in standards, and we see that in our marriage life, in our career life, in our education. You see this play out in even how our parents behave when it comes to career paths and the courses we are supposed to take at the university level. Because of standards, a Ghanaian parent will tell you that, our family is a family of, let's say, psychologists. So whether you like it or not, whether your strengths will allow you do it or not, you have to become a psychologist. So they have this standard imprinted in their brain. And also in the marriage life, a Ghanaian parents, the moment you hit, I've not seen this in the Western world, but when you come down here, a young person hits a particular age and the whole community and the whole society around him or her start giving him pressure to marry. Same thing with after marriage. You marry and then the society gives you a timeline to have kids and all that. So Ghanaians tend to fixate also on standards. We have these standards, and the moment the young person feels like they are not living up to that particular standard, then it tends to have psychological effect. The next thing you know, they are trying to cope and they fall into negative coping strategies, and now you have an addict on your hand, all because somebody decided to set a standard for them. They couldn't meet the standard and then they had to cope. But unfortunately, when it comes to coping, most of the times stuff like this, it will always be the negative coping strategy that they will employ. Yeah.